Good morning, everyone. Are you getting as tired as I am about these Portland rioters from BLM and Antifa being called protesters? Take a look at this story from the Associated Press, which was in my local rag this morning. Portland protests persist as some bring flashes of violence. Flashes of violence? Take a good look at that picture. That man never intended to protest. He was there to create violence and mayhem. He's dressed for it. This is the middle of August, well, damn near anyway. He's got long pants and long sleeves on to protect him as best he can. He's got a trash can cut in half for a shield. Looks like he's taken a gas mask off his face. And is that a helmet with a red cross on it? So maybe he's trying to portray himself as medical help when he's obviously there to hurt and harm. And also, take a close look at how the picture is framed. So you can't see what's in his right hand. It looks like he's holding something, but the picture was taken so as to hide whatever he's up to. And also, what caused this police response for him to go after this man to push him? Did he just throw some rock? Did he just throw an explosive at this man? Did he just attack this police officer in some way? We don't know. The way the picture is framed, you see the man in a defensive posture. We don't know what came before that picture. We don't know what came after it. I'm too jaded to believe that a picture is worth 1,000 words anymore. I want the full goddamn video. All right, let's go on a little bit with this story where they all but admit that this was a riot. Protesters, rioters, in Portland, Oregon defied police orders to disperse and threw rocks, frozen or hard-boiled eggs, and commercial-grade fireworks at officers as unrest in the Northwest City continued early today. See, if you're a protester, you're not going to be dressed like that man in the picture was to create violence. You're not going to be carrying around rocks and frozen or hard-boiled eggs. You're not going to be carrying around explosives. And they don't even mention the laser pointers, which has damaged many an officer's eye in Portland. Oh, but they do mention another thing, so let's go down to the next paragraph. Some demonstrators, rioters again, also filled pool noodles with nails, homemade spike strip, and placed them in the road, causing extensive damage to a patrol vehicle. You see, these people came prepared, willing, able, wanting, and did do violence. Officers are having rocks and chunks of concrete thrown at them, police said on Twitter. Individuals in the crowd are shining lasers trying to blind officers. You see, although the paper wouldn't say that was one of the tactics used by these rioters, the Oregon police are admitting it. Since George Floyd was killed in Minneapolis, do you think these rioters at this point even know who George Floyd was? Do they know that this man was a career criminal? Yes, he shouldn't have died in police custody. But once the police officer was detained and charged, hasn't justice started to be done? The person that killed George Floyd when he was being detained has now been charged. I think more heavily so than he should have been. Have you completely watched the 18-minute video of the arrest like I did, where George Floyd, time after time after time, resisted arrest, refused to follow police officers? Yes, he appeared panicked, and drug results came back, and it found out that he was speedballing. He was on what, 4 different drugs? And that's probably why his heart had been weakened so much that he died, probably from the effects of the speedball, and not the officer who was kneeling on him, who, by the way, we now know didn't even leave bruise marks on his neck. Now, I still believe that police officers should be charged, because as George Floyd became unresponsive, and before that, as George Floyd, right from the very beginning, said he couldn't breathe, obviously we know from George Floyd's action he was extremely high on drugs. That was probably why he was such jittery and jumpy, refusing to follow police officers' orders. Now, the police officer, he's not like me or you. He deals with these things all the time. And if he hasn't been trained to know that, well, a person this high on drugs, he is a danger to himself, particularly in this type of situation, he should have been looking out more towards the man's welfare once George Floyd was on the ground and detained. There's no denying that. But these people, they don't know about George Floyd. They don't care that he was a career criminal. They don't care that his heart probably stopped beating because of the drugs he was on, not because of the officer kneeling on him. Like I said, this officer should be charged, should be thrown off the force. I don't know if he'll be convicted, but he shouldn't be convicted of anything more than manslaughter. And if it's true that he died from a drug overdose, manslaughter might be pushing it. So these rioters in Portland, yeah, it's pissing me off that the mainstream media still keeps on referring to them as protesters.